What's up everybody, Shane here, and I have another budget deck profile for you. This time it is Scorpion from the Mortal Kombat 2-player Turbo Box. Now, Scorpion was one of the very first budget decks that I actually had built. This is way before I started recording videos on the budget deck series. But then I did start recording videos, and I started with the Goro deck, and then I made Vicious, and then so on. And then I had Scorpion in the Gauntlet, and when I was testing him at the time, I was not really impressed with it. So like, I didn't want to show it because it's like, it wasn't like the best that it could be. So I just kind of put it off to the side. But then Libra of Souls came out, and then Scorpion got access to the Inferno cards. And the Inferno support just put Scorpion on like God tier level. And the best part about it is that all of the best Inferno cards for Scorpion are commons and uncommons, so it's perfect for the budget deck. So I have a $26 budget Scorpion deck, and it just reams people. It's pretty good. After I show you the deck, I'm gonna include a video on, it's basically 4 games. I'm gonna try to speed it up, but I played 4 games against a Sun Mina, and I won turn 2 every single game, and I went second every single game, so it was pretty legit. So yeah, let's get right into the deck. All right, let's take a look at the Scorpion character card. The best part about this character is that Desperation Enhance at the very bottom. So what that keyword is that you need to be at below half your health in order to activate that ability. So Scorpion's health is 28, below half is 13 or less. So you need to hit 13 life or less in order to activate that Desperation Enhance. And what it does is it gives your Desperation attack plus 6 damage. And every attack in the deck has the Desperation keyword, so it basically translates to your attack gets plus 6 damage. So once you hit 13 health, all of your attacks are plus 6 damage, which is massive. So that's the best part about this character. His other abilities help him hit Desperation. So the second most important one is the lose 1 vitality. This attack gets plus 2 or minus 2 speed, so you can use it offensively, give your attacks plus 2 speed, so it's really hard for the opponent to block. Or you can use it defensively, you give your opponent's attack minus 2 speed, so it's easy for you to block. And then the other ability is you just lose 2 vitality, and then if your attack is blocked, your opponent loses 2 vitality. So you burn 2, if your opponent blocks, they burn 2. So that's really nice. Sometimes it's really funny if they're at like 1 life or 2 life, you just play an attack, you activate this enhance, and then it's like, well, if they block, they die. If they don't block, they die. So that's pretty funny. But yeah, basically, this character, he can lose 3 life by himself every attack he plays. So this character and his support, it's gonna try to cut himself down to Desperation so he can start giving his attacks plus 6 damage. So yeah, that's the character. Let's look at the attacks. Perhaps the best attack Scorpion received in the Libra of Souls set is Deathlord's Impalement. It's one of the Inferno cards. So this card here, you lose 2 life, and then this attack gets a damage bonus equal to the amount of life you've lost during this enhanced step. So even if you just have Scorpion out, like there's other foundations that can help you burn life, but if you just have Scorpion out, you burn 2, you burn 1, then you burn 2 here, so you lost 5 life, so it's gonna get plus 5 damage. And then the Desperation Enhance, this attack gets a speed bonus equal to the vitality you've lost during the enhanced step. So you basically get to double down. So you lose 5, you give it 5 damage, then you give it 5 speed. And that's just with Scorpion. That's not including any other foundations that burn you. So in addition to the 5 speed, 5 damage, that's not including, you burn for 1, so it's gonna get plus 2 speed, so that's 7 speed, making it 10 speed. And then you can give it plus 6 damage. So what it translates to is that if you just have Scorpion out, this thing can be 10 speed for 16 damage. And this is a common attack, so it's pretty insane. You'll see in the match later on where I open with this card, and then I make it do 19 damage. And my opponent's just like, all right, I'll just take 19, I'll go to 12, so it's pretty funny. Yeah, Deathlord's Impalement, ridiculous attack. Another ridiculous attack is Shadow Slice here. So this one here, you burn 2 life, and then you give this attack 2 speed and 2 damage. So then with Scorpion, you burn for 1, give it 2 speed, putting it at 8 speed, and then you give it plus 6 damage with the Desperation Enhance. So it's 8 speed, high zone for 12 damage. That's like insane numbers just off the bat. And then if that wasn't enough, the top enhance, you remove 1 copy of Shadow Slicer from your discard pile, and then after this attack resolves, you add it back to your hand. So you just play it again, do the dance, you have 8 speed for 12 damage again. So yeah, this card is insane. It's really good. There are ways to mill your deck so you can hit more of these in your discard pile, so you can just abuse that fact that you can just keep replaying this. But we'll get into that later. But yeah, Shadow Slicer, really good. Next up, we have an extremely cookie cutter attack. Syndicate Slice, just solid. This is Desperation 2. So basically when you're at 13 health or less, the difficulty becomes 2. That's like every attack in here has that Desperation keyword. But yeah, so it's a cheap attack. It's like 2 difficulty for 10 damage because Scorpion gives it 6 damage, so yeah, it's 10. But the cool thing is that if this attack is blocked, you get to draw a card, so that's nice. And then your next check to play an attack gets +1. So this is just really cheap just to toss, like 2 difficulty, 10 damage. My next check to play an attack is +1. And if you block it, I get to draw a card. So it's really good. And plus you're giving it like 2 speed with Scorpion, so it's like 5 speed for 10 damage for 2 difficulty attack. Pretty nuts. So yeah, for Syndicate Slice. All right, now we have a 3 Minion Grab. This attack is really important to help burn your life down so you can hit that desperation number. So this card combined with Scorpion, if you play this, you can lose 6 life just with this card and Scorpion, because this has an ability, the bottom effect, you burn for 2, and then the top ability, you burn for 1. Same with Scorpion, you know, you burn for 2, burn for 1. So you burn for 6 when you play this attack. So it helps you cut down so you can hit 13 life or less. This is really nice because when you use this card and you hit that 13 life, so you're in desperation, you lost 2 for Scorpion, so if they block it, they burn for 2. Then you lost 2 for Minion Grab, and if they block it, they burn for 2. So this ends up being, here, let me pull some dice out, just to help materialize this. So you gave it 2 speed, right? And then you gave it +6 damage because you Scorpion. This is a 9 damage throw. So like if they don't block, they take 9, and then your next attack gets +2 damage and -2 to the desperation rating, which makes your attack cheaper to play, and it's just more powerful because you got 2 damage. But if they do block, they take 5 because it's a throw, and then they burn for 4, so they take 9 anyways regardless. So like no matter what, they're taking 9 unless they have throw hate or something, but if they do, then they're still blocking and burning for 4. So yeah, Minion Grab just helps you hit that sweet spot to where you can cut enough life so you can start getting your attacks +6 damage. You'll see in the match video later on in this video that game 4, he didn't hit me and I was at 28, so I played this attack and burned for 15 life with like the foundations I had out. So I played one attack and went straight into desperation, so it was pretty great. Next up, we have 3 copies of Vicious Madness. This is just a fat throw, dude. It's desperation 4 difficulty for a 14 damage throw because you're giving it +6 damage with Scorpion. So this is like +2 speed, +6 damage. So this is 6 speed for 14 damage throw. It's kind of nasty. So yeah, it's just a strong attack in the deck. Now we have 3 Takedown. This is primarily for the block. It's a +1 low block, but sometimes you just toss this and it's just another attack that you can kill them with. But yeah, this is an attack where if they don't block this, then you get to mill cards off your deck to hit an attack, and you put that attack in your hand. Most of the time they block this, but it's just a really good low block to have in your hand. That's mainly what I use it for, but of course it's another attack where you can kill them with. So speaking of the low block, we also have the high block, Flame Aura. This is really good. You can just like block any high attack with this card. You've reduced the speed to 0, so you just block it. But this is also good to toss as an attack. Actually, you can chunk people for 10 with this because you can lead with this, and then it's 5 speed. So with Scorpion, you give it 2 speed and then 6 damage. So then this is like 7 speed for 10 damage, which is like nuts stats. Like that's just insane. And then if they block it, you get to burn them for 1. And like while this card's in your card pool, anytime you block, or anytime a block is played, your opponent has to burn for 1 life. So it's just a strong card to have. Mainly you use it for the defense, but there are times where I've killed people with this card or just chunked them for 10 and then just made my kill turn easier. Then we got 2 copies of Get Over Here! So this card is like a finishing attack, or at least it helps lead into the finishing attack because it's desperation 1. So like that means it's very cheap to play because it's just a 1 cost attack, and then you know you can just play it on like a 4, pass it, and then the key enhance on this is you burn for 2, and then your next attack you attempt to play gains desperation 0. So the difficulty of the attack becomes 0. So it's just, you play it for free basically, and you just kill them. So like, just to materialize what this is, you can like play an attack. Let's see here. Play an attack, whatever. Let's just play this or something like that. Then you play Get Over Here! And then this is desperation 1, so you need to check a 4, which is easy. Then you burn for 2, and then you can just drop like an attack on them, and it's 0 difficulty. So it's like 4 difficulty for, you know, this far into the card pool, 16 damage. It's just kind of busted. Like this helps lead into that finishing attack that's just gonna kill them. So yeah, that's 26 attacks. It seems like a lot, but you have to realize every attack in this deck has the desperation keyword, so the attacks are actually cheaper than they look, you know? So it's once again, when you're at 13 life or less with this deck, the difficulty of your attacks become the desperation number on the card. So yeah, It's 26 attacks. That's just how you just draw attacks and kill people. It's pretty simple. And, it's pretty funny when like you're dealing a lot of damage turn 2. All right, let's get into the foundations. We have 4 copies of Hell's Reach. So this is just standard like hyper aggressive card. Commit this to pass a check, flip it, ready it, then you can commit it again and just go in deeper. This just helps you pass checks. Perfect card for the deck. You got 4 copies of Most Trusted Assassin. This is one of the foundations that burns you life. So once per turn, you can burn 1, and then your opponent's next check to play an attack card gets -1. Now that works, that's attack card. So if they play an attack as an attack, gets -1 to the check. Or if they block with an attack card, it gets a -1 to the check. So this is both offensive and defensive. Now, a lot of the times when you play this, you play this card out, and then your opponent attacks you, so you burn for 1, and it really makes it hard for the opponent to kill you, because it's like, well, I played an attack, you made my next check -1. This ability doesn't say failing that check does not end the combat phase. A lot of cards that hack checks do say that. This one does not. So if the opponent plays an attack and they fail their check, like they don't want to commit out. So like usually they just won't play an attack when you use this. So yeah, this card just helps you stay alive, and it also helps you cut life, so you can hit that desperation. All right, we got 4 copies of Undying Rebels. This is just it's a spam 0/6, and then the desperation enhance once per turn, you get to gain 1 life. That's really important because with Scorpion, you're usually burning a lot of life, and sometimes you just need to gain that life back so you can keep on like giving your attack speed, for example, or using Shadow Slice or cut for 2 for 2 speed, 2 damage, and all that. So yeah, this card just helps you gain life back, so you can just keep on applying pressure. So yeah, that's 12 foundations that have 0 difficulty, which is really important because when you're playing 26 attacks, you kind of want to get like 3 or 4 foundations out turn 1, and the 0 difficulties just help with that. All right, now we got 4 copies of Soul of the Sword. This deck is built off of the evil symbol, but we're allowed to use this fire enhance because our character has the fire symbol. So what it does is you discard the top 3 cards of your deck and you give your attack +1 damage. That may seem like very small compared to Scorpion's 6 damage. Like, why give your attack +1 damage when you can give it +6 damage? But there's many reasons why we play this card. The first one is, well, first off, more damage is more damage, but then you get to mill cards off of your deck, which means that you can mill Shadow Slicers in your discard pile, right? So the more Shadow Slicers you have in your discard pile, and when you draw one, that's just more times you can play. Like, you can play this card for however many copies are in your discard pile. So yeah, this is like, it's just a really good card to have when you have this in your deck. Also, when your opponent attacks you, you can actually use this enhance and discard the top 3 cards of your deck. Your attack gets +1 damage. You don't have an attack, so the effect just fizzles. You just pay cost and mill your deck and hit Shadow Slicers in your discard pile. So that's really good. Also, another reason why you play Soul Sword, we're just going to skip ahead to 2 copies of Undying Rage. Undying Rage is really good in this deck. So you commit this, and if the top card of your discard pile has Desperation or Fury, you add it to your hand. And every attack in this deck has the Desperation keyword. So what this means is that if the top card of your discard pile is an attack, you commit this and put that attack in your hand. So this is like +1 hand size, and it's always going to be an attack. And then the other ability, Scorpion Enhance, you discard 1 momentum, and then you gain 2 life, playable while committed. So this is another card with Uniting Rebels that helps you gain life so you can keep applying pressure. The reason why I bring this card up with Soul the Sword is that when you discard the top 3 cards of your deck with this card, you actually get to choose the order of how they go in your discard pile. So for example, like imagine this is your deck, right? You mill 3 cards with this to give your attack +1 damage. You can choose to put the attack on top. Now if your next enhance, you just commit, add the attack to your hand. So like this is another way to get an attack to help kill your opponent. So yeah, Soul of Sword is really good, and Undying Rage helps get you attacks. You don't need Soul the Sword for this card to work. Sometimes you just check attacks, and you can just, oh hey, nice, I get another attack. Or like you poked them or whatever, and then your attack didn't deal damage because they blocked. They attack you, like it's the top card of your discard pile. You just commit this, add that attack to your hand. So yeah. Moving on, new Empress of Netherrealm. So this card here is another foundation that helps you burn. You flip, burn 3, and you get the draw card. So this card just helps you cut life down to your desperation rating. Also combos very well with Deathlord's Impalement because it's just more life you can burn. Like you can go, let's see here. You can go burn 2, burn 1, burn 3, draw a card, burn 2. So you've burned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this gets +8 speed, +8 damage just on itself. That's not including Scorpion or whatever cards you have out. So yeah, new Empress of Netherrealm just helps cut, and it gives you card advantage as well. All right, now we got 4 copies of Blood for Blood. This is probably the main foundation that helps you cut life. A lot of times opponents will be like, they're playing against Scorpion, so they don't want to attack too much, because if they attack you too much, they kind of do your job for you. Like they cut you down to desperation. So a lot of times they may just poke once, or they might not attack. Blood for Blood is like a duplicate ability of Scorpion. You lose 2 life, and then if your attack is blocked, your opponent loses 2 life. So you get to double down on that. So like if you play one of these and you have Scorpion, you get to burn for 5 every time you play an attack, and that's just including these cards. That's not including any other cards. So this is one of the primary cards that helps cut your life down. It can also burn your opponent too, because if you make an attack threatening enough, the opponent is going to want to block it. So they're going to burn for 4 if you use Scorpion's ability and Blood for Blood. This is also stun hate. So this actually made the opponent not want to stun me. Like when I was testing this, they'd be like, well, if I stun you, I have to blow up a foundation, you know. So that's kind of nice. So like it deters you from getting stunned. So yeah, 4 copies of Blood for Blood, really good in the deck. All right, we got 3 copies of Outworld's Heiress. So this is a control piece. If there's a foundation that is just problematic, you can just remove this, pay life equal to the difficulty, and then bounce that foundation back to their hand. So not only does this remove a problem card off the board for you, this card helps you cut down to your desperation rating. Also, if your opponent plays a stun attack, you can actually lose life and then reduce that stun rating down to 0, so you don't get stunned. So you can just burn life and not get stunned, so you can just block easy. So that's nice too. So yeah, this card is really important in the deck. 3 copies of True Identity. So I had this at 2, but I put it to 3 because you kind of want to see it, because you play so many attacks in the deck. Basically, form, you commit this, like pretty much after you draw your hand and you know you're going in, you commit this, and then your checks to play attacks are +1 for the rest of the turn. So that means like the lowest thing that you can check is now a 4, because the lowest check is a 3. So basically, when you check, you're always, like at minimum you're checking 4s, which is astronomically big for the deck. So yeah, True Identity just helps you push. It allows you to play like 1 or 2 attacks more than you actually should have been. So yes, True Identity just like helps you stay aggressive. All right, now we got the little tech piece, 1 copy of Ninja Outcast. So the main reason why we play this card is because it counters a primary tactic to defeating Scorpion. So one of the ways you beat Scorpion is you let him burn himself down to like 4 life or whatever, but then once he's down that low, you block his attack, and then you play a reversal. And if the reversal is for his health total, then it's like he's either dead because he can't block because he has too many attacks in his card pool, or he blocks and has to commit all of his cards in order to live, and then you just kill him on the backswing. So that's one way to beat Scorpion, is just block and play a reversal when he's at critical health. Now, Ninja Outcast helps beat that tactic, because the bomb effect here, response, your turn, you flip this card, and then after your opponent plays an attack, you add it back to their hand. So like the opponent blocks, they play a reversal that's like going to kill you, you can just flip this, bounce that reversal back to their hand. You don't have to deal with it. So then they have to block again and play the reversal again. And usually your attacks are like super high speed because you're giving it +2 speed all the time. And then they're burning life to block anyways, so it's like it just feels really bad for the opponent. So yeah, I just placed this as a 1-up just to show you that this is a card that counters a method to beat Scorpion. Depending on your meta, you can play more copies of this, but I just have it as like a tech 1-up. The ability to cancel abilities on weapon cards is also really good. Because there's a lot of attacks with the weapon keywords. So that's really nice as well. So yeah, that's the deck. It is 60 cards flat. We play 26 attacks, and it's just hyper aggressive. So now I'm going to play the 4 games that I played, and then I'll kind of do some commentary and just walk you through what I'm doing and how basically the deck works.
Okay, so here are the 4 games I played with Andrew. Shout out to Andrew, by the way. In each of these games, all 4 of these games, he went first. So I went second every single one of these games. So game 1, he goes first, builds 3 foundations. Then I go second and I build 5. I just have 1 card in my hand. Then on the second turn, he plays a Radiant Wing. And then for my enhances, I mill 3 with Soul the Sword. He stun 3s me with Sung Mina and then swings for 10. So I just take it. I just take the 10 damage. I'm Scorpion. I'll just take it. You know, it helps me get down to low life where I can activate my Desperation Enhance. Then he decides to build one and pass. So then on my turn, I open with a Death Lord's Impalement. And this is going to be big. So what happens is that I burn 5 total with my abilities on board. And then I burn 2 with Impalement, giving it +7 damage. And then I give it +6 damage with Scorpion. The Desperation Enhance on Death Lord's Impalement gives it +7 speed, and then Soul of the Sword and all that stuff. So it makes it 12 speed for 19 damage, and then he just has to eat it. And 19 damage is just so big. So then I follow up with a Syndicate Slice. I do a bunch of enhances on it. It's like an 11 damage Syndicate Slice. He half blocks it, And then I just play a Shadow Slicer for game. I do all these effects. It's 8 speed, 12 damage, 13 damage with Soul of the Sword. So that's game. He goes to block and can't block it because it's too fast. All right, so now game 2. He goes first, builds 3 foundations. And then on my turn, I build 4 foundations. Now, one of the foundations that I build is True Identity. And opening with that card is so amazing because it makes your kill turns so much easier. Especially if you are a Desperation deck where all of your attacks are cheap enough anyways. So it's just amazing to open with that card. So he swings with a Scarlet Meteor, does Scarlet Meteor things. I actually burn with my Blood for Blood on board just because it cuts me down to Desperation faster. So like he's attacking me, so I'm just going to use my abilities just to burn myself anyways, and then I'll just take the 5 damage. So puts me down to 21. So then he's going to build 2 more cards and then pass his turn. So on my turn, I activate True Identity, and then I open with a Minion Grab. So this is really good because both Minion Grab and Scorpion cuts me for 6 life. So that's going to put me down close to Desperation. Then I use the Blood for Blood just to go down in Desperation. So then I burn myself to 13 life. I put Scorpion online and it gives me plus 6 damage on all my attacks. So he ends up blocking the Minion Grab. So realistically, he should use Sung Mina's ability here, but it only delayed the inevitable. He took a lot of damage off of that. So then after that, I play Flame Aura. Now Flame Aura is a beating in Scorpion. It's 7 speed for 10 damage. So like it's a fat attack. And he ends up failing the block because it's too fast. It just has to eat 10. So then I follow up with a 10 damage Syndicate Slice, and all he has is a low block. Can't block it. Okay, so game 3 is my worst start out of all of these games. So he goes first, builds 3 foundations, and then on my turn, I build 3. Usually you want to build 4 foundations if you can. If you build 5, you're in good shape, but I only build 3. So the last card I check, though, is a Shadow Slicer. And that's really important because he attacks me on his turn 2. So I use Undying Rage to add the Shadow Slicer to my hand, which is really important because I can attack him with the next turn, then like bounce it to my hand and stuff. So then I burn 1 with Most Trusted Assassin, burn 1 for Scorpion, burn 2 for Scorpion. I'm just burning life with my cards. And then I just take the 5 damage from his attack. So then he ends up building some stuff. He finishes building. And then on my turn is when I play the Shadow Slicer. So I activate all my enhances. I burn 1 for plus 2 speed, burn 2 for Shadow Slicer, plus 2 speed, plus 2 damage, burn 1 for Most Trusted Assassin, and now I am in Desperation. So I can plus 6 damage with Scorpion. So this Shadow Slicer is 8 speed for 12 damage. And then I remove a Shadow Slicer from my discard pile, and then after it resolves, it bounces back to my hand. So he blocks with a +0 high block, takes no damage, which is fine, goes back to my hand. So I can play it again, but I decide to play a Flame Aura because it's 7 speed for 10 damage. It's very fast, and he can't block it. So he takes 10. So then I play a Takedown, but he uses Retreated to Arctica to take 0 damage from it. So then after he takes no damage, I play Get Over Here, which is Desperation 1, easy to pass. I make it 8 damage because I give it plus 6 damage with Scorpion, and he can't block it, so it puts him to 13. So then after that, I then play the Shadow Slicer. It's Desperation 0 because of the Get Over Here, and I do all my enhances. Again, it's 8 speed for 12 damage, and he takes it, and he goes to 1 life. So then I play a Syndicate Slice on a 6 difficulty. I have to check a 5. So what happens? I check the 5 and I commit Scorpion, and then he ends up checking a 3 on the block and fails it. So that was a very close game. Okay, so game 4 is amazing. This is the only game where he did not attack me on turn 2, but I was still able to win on turn 2 by cutting enough life down to 15. So I played 1 attack and I burned for 15 life. It was pretty awesome. So he starts off by building 3, and then on my turn, I build 5, just 1 card in my hand. So he chooses to build again, not attacking, which is very smart because like the other games, I just take the hits, and then I go to Desperation on my next turn. So on this turn, I'm calculating how much life I can burn. I have a Minion Grab in my hand. So combined with Scorpion means I can burn for 6, and I have 2 Outworld's Heiress on board. So I can use the first one as my first enhance to bounce his Retreated to Arctica so he can't use it, and then I can use my other Outworlds to bounce his Refusing to Let Go, cutting for 5 total for both Outworld's Heiress. So between that and Scorpions, I cut for 11. Then I can use New Empress to cut for 3 and draw a card. That puts me at 14. And then I use Most Trusted Assassin, cutting me for 1, which means I'm now at 13 and can give my +6 damage on my first attack. So I activate True Identity. I do all that stuff. I play the Minion Grab, do all the enhances, you know, and then after that, I play the Flame Aura. And then it's a fat attack. He partial blocks it, takes half burns for Flame Aura. Then I play Death Lord's Impalement and send it for 16 damage. And he has to eat it, putting him at 5 life. So then I play a Get Over Here for 8 damage, which he dies to, but I could play the Flame Aura on Desperation 0, and it's definitely game at that point.
All right, everybody, that is the Scorpion budget deck that I built. It's just a super hyper aggressive deck. It's a very new player friendly deck. Like, you can give this deck to somebody, and it's like, they don't really have to worry about blocking, because like one of the things that's hard for newer players to like get to grasp is like knowing what attacks to block. And with this deck, it's like you don't really have to block unless it's going to kill you. So like turn 2, your opponent just tosses like a 10 damage attack, like I'll just take it, dude. So then now you're closer to desperation, so that when you draw that stacked hand, you can just like blow them up. So yeah, this deck's really good. It's super cheap too. Like you see, this is pretty much all commons, uncommons, and starter exclusives. I don't even play From Hell in this deck. Like From Hell is Scorpion's like big attack. You don't need it in this deck. So yeah, this is a $26 deck. I'll go on legendarywolfgames.com. I'll just show you guys, basically do the rundown of the shopping cart, show you guys how cheap it is. Yeah, it's a very explosive deck, very fun to play. I'm gonna keep this deck around because this is like, I think this is a real deck actually. Like this is pretty insane. You're just so aggressive and the opponent just can't do anything. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. This video is sponsored by legendarywolfgames.com. Get all of your UFS cards and other TCG singles at legendarywolfgames.com.
What?
.com.